just because. Roughed out. Tenon. Spur. Oh, just a hair too big. Pushed through. This blank is a lot drier than I expected it to be. A little off center. Don't need the tailstock anymore. No longer rubbing. And I don't know. That's all that needs. Just an old rotten piece of birch. Nope. Okay. Your camera's right where I want my head. I hear some clicking. It's a knot. There's still a little bit of damage from my catch. Not going to be able to get in there with that tool. You know what? That's not musky gouge. This is. We'll use that to clean it up. I don't quite like this shape right at the bottom of the bead. That I do. Clean enough for what I've set out to do. Let's touch this just to create space. And actually this guy cuts across end grain pretty nice. So we'll use that. Next, we will move over to the inside. This should be enough. Didn't quite put my rest where I wanted it. Good enough. A little lower. Yeah, good enough. Right. It's the inside of a punky bowl, cut with zero care. Now we're gonna demonstrate how to use a woodcut proforme cutter head. This happens to be the Flexi. Not a huge fan. I got a little lock washer in here because anything that connects like this is not awesome. I almost ruined a piece because this couldn't hold, but I fixed it in the middle of the project. So typically what people tell you to do with these is to go like such. Oh, we're We're a little off center, aren't we? No, we're way over center. Still way over center. That's close enough. So typically what you're told is to come in and do this, right? Keep it flat, work in arcs. I mean, it cuts pretty clean. That's not bad. But now your tool, you know, it does have a heel. Actually, it has two, because this brass piece counts as one. And I feel that if you set your rest a little low and come in like this, you often get a better cut. But it is very aggressive, as you can see. It wants to suck into the wood. So when you do this, you have to push. See? Pretty clean cut. Hey, this wood is garbage. It's so punky. It's, I don't know, it's been sitting in a 70% humidity building for a year and a half, but these curls are pretty amazing. And even with the gate set pretty small, it's still pretty thick because it's pulling in as it goes. Now, the other way, the other heel is the brass. This doesn't suck the tool into the wood. I mean, almost no matter what I do, I can't force it in, right? So you can actually have the gate open a lot and just tip your tool down more to take this kind of cut. They also say you need a pilot hole to dig, but it just takes pressure. Now this cut's not as clean. It does cut better on a push cut. And you can use the side this way. The gate might actually be closed too much for this, or my rest is too low. But let's see kind of what that did. Not quite as clean, but it's got a greater limitation on its ability to get into the wood. Yeah, our gate isn't very open. That's our problem. I'll have to fix that. That should be enough. So if you're gonna use the heel, you want your rest low. If you're gonna use the brass as a heel, you want your rest a little high. It's like shear scraping. You gotta catch the burr first. Still not quite. Got to adjust the gate again. That ought to do. I don't think you can really see, but for the most part, that's pretty wide open. And you can see that I've polished the brass on the wood, not just through use. Of course, I turn the camera on and I struggle. Might actually have to take the brass back on this. This isn't... Or the rest is too high. Let's try that. See, we caught the back corner of the cutter when we were coming around the bottom of the bowl, and it sucked us into the wood. So you can get pretty thin. I like to stand on the opposite side of the lathe. Looking at the wrong thing. Let's see if we can get a shot of this. So tools angled down, tools tilted. And we just take real tiny touch. Real tiny cuts. All right, let's slow the rotation down so we don't end up vibrating. I'll bring the camera in to here. And I'm starting to be able to see through. I don't know if you can. I move it with my fingers on the rest more than anything. I have my tool handle in my armpit, snug up in my armpit. And you kind of lead with the hook exposed from the brass to bite in, and then you let the chunk under the brass do the finish cut. But riding on the brass gives you kind of a heel. You know, that's allows for a cleaner cut. Takes out some of the vibration just because of what brass is, and really limits your cut. Now, like I said, this wood is garbage. The tool finish is not great with that cut, but it's not bad. I mean, you really could start with 220. I'd rather start with 180. So let's see if we can finish out most of this bowl. I know it's a hollowing tool. When pull cuts come out cleaner. I'll stop the lathe and demonstrate or show the result of that. Much cleaner than the push cuts. Phone's dusty. See? Oh, we're unfocusing. There's our pull cut. There's our push cut. It's still a hook tool. It's not a gouge. It's a hook tool. That's still pretty thick in the back, but what I wanted to compare it to is this hook I got from an old guy who used to be a professional. I do believe that this hook was designed to hollow out hollow forms more than anything. It's dull. I have not bothered finishing restoring it, but we'll give it a go. I'm not over the handle. I'm on the wrong side of the lathe for that. But I'm making it work. Let's see if we can clean all that up. Yeah, that hook is not oriented for bowls. And there's the difference between a traditional hook and the proforme. Now, like we showed in the beginning, you can get this finish with a push cut riding this bevel. But we don't get a good finish cutting like this or like this. And then, you know, there's heel everywhere. When I cut this bottom, I place this edge and this heel against the wood and come in on the upswing and then roll into the downswing as we move. Let's see if we can do that real slow like. So we've started our cut. There we are. And we roll our tool. move too fast. That's kind of the pattern. You can come in. You can do the same thing this way. It's the exact same concept. But I don't have my weight over the handle. It's harder to control. Much harder to control. We'll sit on the lathe. I need to switch sides. Can't do it from this side. Not at this speed. All right, there. We'll catch the wood. Move to start with a cleaner surface. Now we'll slow down and start our push cut. Ah, too slow. Cutting to center, you really gotta lead. With this back side to take material down first before you get to the heel. Use that arc on the tip of the tool as your friend. And pretty clean. Let's see if we can zoom in on that and compare a little. Right? So, pretty clean. We're off the heel there, obviously, but that's how you dig with it. And this wood is garbage, as you can see. Let's see if I can finish this out. Pretty out of round. You can also pull back with that back corner. Ah! I was worried about that. I was hoping. There might actually be a hole in that. Yeah, little tiny one. That's all right. Come on. Ta-da! Anyway, that was fun. Could be a little sharper. Could be a little sharper. Let's get a micrometer and see what that measures. All right, 0. We're gonna go millimeters because I like those as a unit. What do we get here? 7.7, 8.9, 7.5. This is kind of our transition. 0.9, 1, 1.4. Our catch, what did we get? 0.6. Other side of it? 0.9. Dear camera, why can you not focus on things? Anyway, it's kind of our average for the rim. This is probably going to be our average for that bottom half. Let's look at the cut. Zoom. There's our cut quality. Not the greatest, not the worst. Let's put a light behind it for fun. Birch has a tendency to not want to be translucent till 0.75 millimeter. So that's kind of the target. You can see down in the bottom where it's 1 millimeter, there's a shadow. Right in the center of the screen where we're focused, that's where we start hitting 0.75, and that's 0.5. This is a 300 lumen light too, so it's not a very bright light. Anyway, does some entertainment for me.